Robby, your first two rehabs and your first two knees, did it go as well? Or your start was like going in now with three Hulse in 4 games? Do you remember?
Um, I mean, goals are one thing. I'm just going off more, getting back to my game, getting my legs going, and all that, and goals are coming. So I'm not going to complain about that. But getting them in wins definitely feels a lot better.
Robby, how does it feel to finally beat these guys? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's they had our number this year, and they're a good team. They're a contender, and we've played them hard, and it's good to be on the winning side of this one.
Robby, how important was it just to get back? I know you haven't been back a long time, but to play more the way the team needed the defense just compared to the other night?
Yeah, that's more of a win that's our style. Great on the PK. Husso was great in net. And just defending a lot better, and from that we created our offense. So as long as we stick to that, we'll have more games like this.
Really, obviously, you want to stop every shot as a goalie, but when you play a team like this with the firepower that they have, and you hold them to one goal, do you take a little more pride in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, you want to be leading the game when you go to the third period, and then it's just, shutting it down, and we did a good job. Even those two penalty kills what we got there at the end, did a really good job there, and blocking shots, like played like a winning hockey team.
We talked before you came back about kind of would have liked to have contact. How have you felt through contact so far these first few games?
I feel good. I did everything to make sure I was as prepared as possible, and the staff here did a great job, and we got about a handful of games coming up here before we go on the road to really get in the swing of things, but I'm feeling more and more comfortable every game.
Ville, I know you'll take a win any way you can get it, but how much more satisfying is this kind of win as opposed to the shootout the other night?
Yeah, I mean, win is a win. A couple nights ago, I'll take that win every night. Of course, 5 goals is a lot, but we scored 7, so it was a good night that night. But yeah, I think like Fab said, like this is more like how we want to play, like 3-1 game, and it's just as a goalie, these are the games that you are so into it, and Toronto is a good team, and only 1 goal for them. It's you usually should win that time.
Ville, you said that this type of game, is that because this opponent, when they start to roll, that they can score quickly and score in bunches? Is that, you always have to be on your toes no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, every game you want to be, always ready, but especially these guys, there are some skill guys. But yeah, we did a good job today, keep them outside, and even they got like almost, 30 shots, but it's still like, they made my night easy, and nothing like really like dangerous shots there.
Hey, Billy, how have you felt in the past month? Is tonight as good as you felt in a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. I was sick a little bit and all that stuff, and all the energy and that, but just try to work hard and do some extra on the ice, and just like try to battle every day, and I feel like I'm trying to find a way to be on the level where I want to be.
Robby, you haven't played with Berggren a lot, obviously, yet, but just what you've seen this season, what's impressed you about him?
His work ethic. He's got the skill and he's got the IQ for the game. There's no question about that. But his work in practice, and in both ends of the ice and playing a 200-foot game, he's easy to play with. Him and Copper, they see the ice well, and he's impressed a lot of us, and it's great to see.
How big do you notice Sherrod's impact being decent? Obviously, you had the sequence with Nylander where you kind of took him on to play a couple times. Where do you notice kind of his impact?
He's strong. He was a guy I did not like to play against, I'll tell you that. So it's nice he's on our bench this year, and he just brings that physicality, and he blocks shots, and he's still up in the playmaking plays. So he brings it in all 3 zones, and he's a big part of our leadership group in there, and pushing us to be a winning team, and You know, he's, you know, done a great job on and off the ice for us.
Derek, was this much more to the identity you guys want to have?
Yeah, way better defensive team. I don't have to look at the underlying numbers, but I don't think we gave up a ton. And more of a complete game. It just kind of felt like before this 2-game winning streak, the 3-game losing streak, where we played pretty good 5-on-5, but we didn't execute on special teams. Tonight we get a good 5-on-5 game. We execute on special teams, and we flipped a tight game. So very good win for us.
How much energy has Fabbri brought to the lineup?
A ton. He's got bite. You know, he was kind of the unforgotten or the forgotten injured guy because, you know, it was projected to be back in the new year. But that was one, as a coaching staff, we were anxiously awaiting back, and he's brought energy, he's brought compete. Again, it just helps our depth throughout our lines, and obviously he's pitched in. You know, he's got 3 goals already in his return on a team that struggles to finish.
Derek, what did you think of the penalty kill?
Penalty kill was good tonight. It was good. It's actually been good the last 3, you know, probably since the Toronto game. I know we've given up some goals, but again, even in that stretch, I remember talking about the penalty kill. It's not right, but it was just going in. We weren't giving up the egregious slot or the east-west. We're finding ways to get scored on. So I assumed it would turn around, and, you know, knock on wood, in the last few games it has.
Gary, going back to Fab, right? How remarkable is it for him, after being off 10 months, to have this level of both energy and proficiency? You know, it looks like his time.
Phenomenal. I just think within his career too, what his body's endured. But I think someone like that, maybe an appreciation of playing in this league when it gets taken away from you so many times, and he worked extremely hard. Credit to him, credit to our medical staff, and the fact that they had a plan, they had a hard date, they stuck to it, and they pulled it off almost to the day. And I just think he was ready when he was ready, and I think that's why he's had this jump with his return.
Does it also just allow you to slot other guys?
Of course, 100%. It allows us to slot guys, better options. You know, you don't get stuck with some bad matchups. I mean, even tonight, obviously the Tavares-Marner line has been playing at a really high level of late, and Sheldon did a good job of kind of mixing them around to get different matchups, and I was comfortable with every matchup. The flow of the game and the synergy with our lines was more important than matchups. I don't know if I could have said that when we had those 4 or 5 forwards out. So, yeah, it certainly helps the depth.
On Fabbri, is he the player you thought he was from afar, and what have you maybe learned about him?
Yeah, that's a great question because the coaches talk about his energy. You know, Steve's brought up, you're going to like him. You know, I saw glimpses of it in video or playing them in the past, but until you have them every single day, and, you know, I've experienced that with a lot of players being new here, but yeah, he's been as advertised from the previous management and staff. So just, again, for him, just hopefully he can sustain it and stay consistent with it.
Raymond seems to really connect with Larkin when they play on the same line.
We talked about it, actually after the first. There's a chemistry there. You know, I still want that line. It almost feels like some of those high-end skill lines I had back in Tampa, where they still had to transform their game to be a little more responsible all the time. Because, I mean, they have a chemistry, they have a feel. It's got to be 200 feet. And they were good tonight. They had a great game. But it's, you know, that goal they gave up, there were some mishaps in that from all 3 forwards en route to letting them get back in 2-1. So, yeah, there is something with those 2, but I still think that line's got to evolve into playing a more complete game.
You haven't generated a lot of shots in these last 2 games, but you've generated a lot of offense.
Yeah. Today felt a little different. The other day it felt like we scored on every grade A we had. But today we had, shot attempts were good. They were there. And I don't know, we literally, who's got the post crossbar count for me? You're into the 4.5s today. Those don't count as shots, the missed wide. So the shots, the volume wasn't there in shots, but I think the shot attempts and the grade A type attempts were really good. We'll grade this out as far as chances for and against, but this felt like it was a pretty good game for us.
Derek, I'm curious. It was ultimately didn't prove no bearing, but just having that first Toronto goal wiped out, was that
huge?
At the time, was it kind of crucial? Just if had
100%. And I know, just when you talk about Toronto, I feel so familiar with them as a team, and people look at them as this high-end offensive machine, and they are. They have 3 or 4 of the best players on earth. But the way they've managed their game of late, even from last year into this year, they don't turn pucks over, they defend. Basically my point is you don't want to, they're a different team trailing. If they get one goal, that whole period and feel is just different. So it's a little surprised with the reverse call, but you look back on the black and white of the rule, it's exactly, it's actually a pretty easy call. So kicked puck wide, but it was a redirect, and our video guys were even unsure on it, and then we come back in and literally read the rule black and white. It was a pretty easy call.
Back-to-back against 2 high-quality teams, how much can that do for your team's confidence?
It's great. I think we're, I've said this a lot of times, we've had our ups and downs, but I don't think there's a night we go into a game feeling we cannot win. Maybe with some of those egregious lineups where we've had literally 6, 7, 8 forwards or guys out, but we feel like we can win every night. And that's a good example. The 2 wins we've had over 2 really good teams this week so far.
On Tuesday night, you were sitting here telling us that it was one of the worst performances that you've seen from your team, complete 180 tonight. I'm just wondering if there was anything specific that you felt you did either post-game or...
No. I just think that was a one-off, maybe an outlying game, and the fact sometimes the schedule sneaks up on you in weird ways, and teams are tired and flat. Maybe we could have done things a little differently with the way I managed it. But to me, it just, because we hadn't played like that all year, I was not that concerned because it wasn't a habit of ours. I think it was just one of those games we literally had no legs, no jump, no energy. Because obviously tonight we looked a lot different.
Did that feel like a morale booster for Ville? Maybe a game he kind of needed for his own confidence?
Yeah, for sure. Ville, there was a stretch early on, Ville was playing at such a high level. I think he'd be the first one to tell you his game's tailed off. A little of that had to do, timing. We probably overused him for a stretch. He comes back off the Christmas break sick. So I just think it's good for him to get some rhythm. And tonight was more of he was great tonight, but it was more of a game where we played well in front of him, where he faced some quality chances, but it wasn't the volume. Like the other night. So, of course, our quality runs and wins this year have been when Ville's been good. And we need him, and tonight felt like he had a good Ville Husso game.
Derek, a quick one for me, but you mentioned yesterday you talked to Ben Simon a lot because of who's down there. Can you shed light on why Rana didn't play?
No, we haven't talked about that. That's when the American Hockey League, we'll talk about everything, but when it comes to his team, it's his team. So we really did not discuss that, and it was no different when I was in the American Hockey League. You have authority of making your decisions. So, yeah, I don't know anything on that.
Derek, it seems like an eternity since the Red Wings have beaten the Maple Leafs. And I know you go out to win every game and all that, but can this be a real change for you to finally break through again?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I just, maybe, but I've liked the way we played them all year. You know, you take the previous 2 games, we played really well, and they had the same feel to them. I remember the one game here, we literally gave up 7 or 8 chances, and that does not happen often, and that should be a 3-4-1 win. But if you can recall, the 3-4 chances was Matthews, was Marner, and then even in Toronto, I mean, we were on the back-to-back. We gave them 2 shots in the first. Their 4th shot on net came 30 minutes in, but it was Marner, skill play below the goal line, Tavares finish on a half breakaway. We've played them well. It's just their superstars have made a difference. That's why they're an elite team. So, you know, we played them 3 times. I just think we've played well in all 3 of them. And tonight we executed special teams and finally found a way to flip a tight game.